I once heard a pastor tell a story about his daughter, how his daughter had come into a room and literally laid out her plans for her future before him. I mean, step by step of what she wanted to do, how she was going to do it, had it all mapped out. He said it was just this beautiful plan. And then he said she steps back when she was finished and she looks at him, she looks at her dad and says to him, "Now, what do you think?" He said in that moment, it made him feel 10 feet tall when she looked at him after all of that planning and strategizing and mapping out and saying to him, "What do you think?" It was so interesting because a few weeks before I heard him tell this story, I had read an article on Yahoo News that said 10 things that guys like to hear the most. And ironically, "what do you think?" was one of them. And so I said to myself, there must be something to this "what do you think" statement or question. And so today we are going to talk about accountability. Now, accountability is just as serious, or if not, yeah, just as serious as boundaries. And so accountability, I want to make clear here that I'm not talking about accountability with your friends, like you talking to your girlfriends about what's happening, what's going on, though that is important on some level, and we'll deal with that at another time. But I'm talking about your ability to hold this guy that you're interested in and that may be interested in you accountable. And we're going to use the "what do you think" principle to help us do that. Now, accountability means that you will have to ask the hard questions, those questions that you may not really want to know the answer to. It means that you are going to have to hold this guy accountable for his words, his actions, and his intentions towards you. And it's not going to be easy, but there is a good way, a healthy way to hold him accountable so that you, at the end of the day, can make an informed decision about what you want to do as it relates to the relationship. And so that you can maintain healthy perspective, so that you're not at the altar at day one because he said something sweet and nice to you. So it is necessity and imperative that we use the principle of accountability. So here we go. Accountability again is you asking the hard questions like, what are your intentions? Do you like me? Why did you say this? Why did you do that? Did you think about how that made me feel? Now, I know just straight up, those questions seem kind of just, straight to the point, a little edgy. But here's where the "what do you think" principle comes in. There is a way to frame a question. Now, you have to make sure that as you are seeking to hold this guy accountable, that you ask him questions that will not call for a yes or no answer. You want it to be open-ended so that you will leave the conversation with an understanding. So you want to make sure that you frame it in a way that will afford him the opportunity to expound on what his thoughts really are and what his intentions, may be, what his motives are. And so, you always want to be sure to frame your questions like that. So here we go. What do you think principle? You could ask a question like, the other night you said this, and I took it like this. What do you think about that? Now, again, before we go any further, it is imperative for you also to make sure that when you ask a question, you don't say too much. Just ask the question. Okay, ladies? Now, we have a hard time with this because we like to talk and we like to pour out all of our feelings just right off the bat. And we want them to know this, that, and the other, and this is how we feel, and play the violin and this, that, and the other. But don't do that anymore. Okay, so what we're going to do is ask the question just straight up, and then we're going to leave room for him to answer. We're not going to give him a way out. We're not going to make it too easy for him, and we're not going to answer the question for him. We're going to say, this is how I felt when you said this. What do you think about that? Or what do you think about the fact that you have been calling me a little bit more? Or the other day when we hung out, I noticed that you have been doing a lot more of this. How would you like for me to interpret that? Now, so it's still the what do you think principle, just worded kind of differently. How would you like for me to interpret that? Now, there is absolutely no way you can leave out of the conversation when you ask the appropriate questions, the hard questions, because they will be hard, because he might come out and say, you know what, I don't really like you like that. But it is healthy perspective that allows you to walk away and having lost absolutely nothing. And so again, I want you to be able to and have the strength to hold these guys accountable. So if you have not dealt with some basic insecurity issues, I'm gonna need you again, and I keep referencing these videos that I put out a few weeks ago. Accomplice to your own misery and he's a liar. Please take a look at those. You can go to my YouTube page. It's Pastor Rebecca Davis. Go ahead and go to that and begin to tackle some insecurities head on, because you cannot be concerned with what answers you may get, or whether or not his interests will lead to commitment. You have to be okay with answering the hard questions and getting answers that could be less desirable, knowing that you are still winning and that you are still on top. Anyway, I want you to know today that you are a winner, and that I just love you, and I love this journey that we've been on. So until next week, God bless as you hold someone, a guy, accountable.